Account is an account you establish at a bank. You deposit money into the account and you write checks to pay for things. Of course, you can only write checks for the amounts that have already been deposited into the account, or you run the risk of bouncing checks. If you write a check that exceeds your account balance, it will bounce. This is known as a non-sufficient funds check, or NSF, or a rubber check. It is a really bad idea to write rubber checks. For one thing, there will be lots of penalties, such as bank fees, fees from merchants, or you can even wind up in jail for fraud if you make a habit of bouncing checks.
When you sign up for a checking account, your bank usually offers you what is called overdraft protection. This protects you in case you accidentally write a rubber check. If it is offered to you, it's a good idea to sign up for this. If you write a rubber check without overdraft protection, the bank will charge you substantially for any check that you bounce. But with overdraft protection, the bank will cover that amount until you're able to deposit enough money into your checking account. But don't abuse the privilege of an overdraft protection.
To avoid writing bad checks, always keep your checkbook up to date. This is very easy. Whenever you write a check, make a deposit, or incur any service charges, take a few minutes to record all the information. You may also withdraw money from your checking account by using an automated teller card. Make sure to record all the information, including any banking fees.
Now, when you're writing a check, don't forget to write the date, the check number, who you're writing the check to, and the amount of the check. Also, you'll want to subtract the amount of the check from the balance. This will save you some headaches and will avoid any confusion later on. Some people would rather have a root canal than balance their checkbook. But actually, it's really very easy and well worth the 10 to 15 minutes a month that it takes. Let's look at an example. Now you have just received your bank statement and it shows a balance of $600. Whereas your checkbook reflects a balance of $750. Now don't panic and run off to the dentist. The difference is timing. Your checkbook reflects all activity right up to today's date, whereas your bank statement may have been issued a week ago. So the difference between your checkbook and the bank statement could be a week's time. So balancing your checkbook involves adjusting your bank statement to reflect all the activity that's happened in your checkbook since that time of it being issued. Now often, banks will send a simple form along with your statement to help you with this process, or you can even find a calculator on the bank website that'll help you calculate, but a piece of paper will simply do the job. So, when you compare the bank statement with your checkbook, you notice two things. You did a deposit of $250 a few days ago. The second thing you notice is that you wrote two checks for $75 and $25. Those were also written a few days ago, which aren't reflected on the bank statement either. So, when balancing your checkbook, you take the bank statement amount of $600. First, you add the deposit amount from the few days ago of $250, and that gets us up to $850. Still not right yet. So now if you remember, the $75 check plus the $25 check would be $100. So you take that $100 that was recorded in your checkbook a few days ago, you subtract it from our new balance of $850, and you get the correct balance of $750. So your bank statement now matches your checkbook. Now sometimes the amounts won't agree, which means you're going to have to go back and figure out why. It's rare that a bank statement will contain incorrect information, so that's why it's so important to record all activity right away. So what you'll need to do is go back in time and look at your statements and find what you forgot to record. It's easier to record right away than going back in time and playing checking and counting detective.
When someone gives you her check, typically you will deposit it in one of your accounts at your own bank. The bank will require you to sign the back of the check or endorse the check.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Here's the deal. When you endorse a check, you are promising to cover the full amount of that check if it turns out to be a rubber check.
In other words, if the person who gave you the check doesn't have sufficient funds in her checking account, then the check will bounce and you will have to pay your bank the full amount of the check. You'll probably also be charged a service charge, probably somewhere around $25.
That's why it's so important to know who's giving you the check.
Yeah. I was at dinner with a group of people last fall. I didn't know all of them, but I knew some of them. There was this guy, and he said to me, "Hey, I don't really have any money right now, but if you pay for me, I'll write you a check." And I said, "Okay." So I go to my bank and I try to cash the check, but it bounces. So not only did I pay for some dinner for some guy that I didn't know, but the bank charged me $20 for a bounced check. Now, do you think I have any hope of collecting from some guy that I don't even know?
Most banks encourage what is called direct deposit. Usually this involves your paycheck from work. With direct deposit, your employer sends your pay directly to your checking account at the bank. This eliminates the need for a paper check, a trip to the bank, or any problems of lost or stolen paychecks. It's a great convenience.
Sometimes you need to refer back to a check that you wrote some time ago. Now, different banks handle this in different ways. Some will send you the actual canceled check, and you'll want to keep these in a safe place. Consider putting them in a labeled shoebox or a folder for some time and put it away so nobody can find it. Now, other banks might store your checks electronically. So if you need to go back for a record, usually you can request it without any charge.
There are certain instances where someone won't want to take your personal checks because they don't know you. They may require a cashier's check or a money order. These can be purchased at any bank and many other institutions. They give the person receiving the cashier's check or money order confidence that it won't bounce. Some people like to use traveler's checks when they travel. These work just like cash and can be purchased at your bank. Advantages are they are recognized and accepted worldwide, and you won't have to exchange them for local currency, and the bank can replace them if they are lost or stolen. The disadvantage is that there is a fee for purchasing them.